The episode moves straight into what turned into one of the most uncomfortable nights of the season, and everything centers around Nell. Once again, she finds herself in the middle of a situation she did not ask for, did not expect, and honestly did not even see coming. The episode's energy was strange from the very start because most of the women, except Nell, had already gathered earlier. Kimmy had pulled the girls together for a talk, and she did it without inviting Nell. Her reason was that Nell was busy getting ready for her own nail party, but even with that explanation, the decision still felt odd. When everyone else is included and one person is not, people notice. And Nell noticed. That choice set the tone for everything that happened next. The nail party was supposed to be something fun, simple, and light, but nothing stays simple in this group. As the guests began arriving, we could already see the way the energy shifted. Kimmy and Maurice were the first to show up. Then Trish and Ken walked in. Things were normal at first, everyone trying to settle in, joke around, and get comfortable. Nell tried to explain an activity involving the decorative balls on the table. She barely finished her sentence before Trish chimed in with a joke about juggling balls, which made everyone laugh. But Nell stopped for a moment, confused, almost like she felt left out of a joke or missing some context. Her energy shifted right there. Then she asked the question that exposed everything underneath. Was the earlier meetup a couple's thing or a girl's thing? And Kimmy, without hiding anything, said that it was all the girls, except Nell. She added that she didn't invite her because she knew Nell would be busy preparing for her party. That moment hit Nell hard, and you could see it all over her face. She wasn't angry right away, but she was hurt. Being excluded once might be brushed off. Being excluded again starts to feel intentional, and she wanted to know exactly what the intention was. She didn't raise her voice. She didn't cause a scene. But her tone said everything. She wanted answers, and she wanted to understand why, on more than one occasion, she found herself on the outside of the group. Kimmy's explanation sounded simple, but even simple explanations can sting. Yes, Nell was busy planning for the party, but Kimmy could have rescheduled her talk with the girls, or at least called Nell to say, "Hey, we're getting together. We know you're busy, but we want you to be included." And that didn't happen. Instead, they met without her, again. And now Nell is left wondering whether she's being left out on purpose or whether it's really just poor timing. As people tried to move on from that awkward moment, the party vibe came back slightly, and the jokes started again. Someone brought up the fact that the event seemed like a couple's night. Martell used that moment to say he was the ish, even though he didn't have someone with him. That led to a comment from Marteau about something being on Martell's jacket. Then Chris joked, "Oh, you did bring Ariane with you," which sent the whole group into shock and laughter because nobody expected that comment to drop like that. Martell brushed it off, saying it was cold outside and he wasn't trying to hide anything. It was one of those moments where you can see people playing around, but the underlying tension never really leaves the room. Then Destiny walked in, and this is where things took a turn. She didn't walk in alone. She showed up with Will, who is Ken's friend. Now, Destiny showing up with someone unexpected always gets the group talking, but bringing Will into this environment stirred up even more chatter. People were surprised, people were confused, and honestly, some people were irritated. This group is already small, and Destiny has a history of moving around in the same circle of men connected to the cast. So the question that came up, loud and clear, was simple. Either no eligible men in Huntsville outside this circle? It's a fair question because it seems like Destiny always ends up dating someone who is connected to somebody in the group. Everyone else is married or in a committed relationship. Martell is tied up with Ariane, Ken is with Trish. And the single men seem to be limited. Destiny defended herself, saying she can date whoever she wants and as many people as she wants. And that's true. But what people were wondering was not whether she had the right to date, but why the dating pool around her always looked so small and so close to home. The reaction to Destiny and Will walking in was instant. People were whispering, people were wide-eyed, and Ken looked genuinely shocked because he didn't know Destiny was coming in with his friend. He wasn't warned. He wasn't prepared. It was one of those moments where someone walks in and the whole room shifts before they even sit down. Then, before the group could even recover from one surprise, Leia walked in with Kiara. And that moment sent shockwaves through the room. The crowd reacted instantly. Gasps, whispers, eyes popped wide open. Destiny looked confused, uncomfortable, and concerned all at once. Martell, being himself, added to the chaos by making jokes and stirring the moment even more. But the real tension was between Lance and Kiara. In his confessional, Lance admitted that yes, seeing Kiara walk in with Leia did bother him, but not enough to start a fight. That small confession hinted at something deeper. Lance might have some lingering feelings for Destiny, even if he doesn't want to say it out loud. There's something there that hasn't fully settled, and seeing her with Will and seeing Kiara walk in on the same night created a messy mix of emotions. With all that chaos inside, the ladies pulled Nell aside to go outside and talk to Tisha. At the same time, the guys stayed inside, and that's where another whole situation started. Will said he wanted to know what was going on with Destiny. Someone described Destiny as a wholesome girl. Will wasn't impressed by that description at all. And then Martell jumped in, asking if he wanted Destiny to be down for the cause. Will didn't hold back. He basically said he wanted to know if she could prove herself in front of Lance. The comment was reckless, and the looks around the room proved that nobody expected him to say that out loud. What Will didn't know was that Destiny and Lance had already dated. That information came out when Marcel asked Lance if he and Will knew about each other. Lance was confused and asked what he meant. Then Marcel said Destiny and Lance had dated. Lance admitted it was over, and not just barely over. They were done. Will looked shocked. Maurice added fuel by calling Will the rebound guy. Ken chimed in, saying Will might not be a rebound, but Destiny wasn't headed anywhere serious with him either. She was just having fun. And that's when it became clear. Destiny's dating life was now a topic of discussion among everyone except Destiny. Meanwhile, the outdoor situation between the ladies was going downhill fast. Kimmy wanted Nell and Tisha to talk things out because there had been tension brewing. Tisha brought up the rumor that Nell had supposedly told Destiny to tell her to keep her name out of her mouth. That set the conversation on fire. Destiny tried explaining what Nell said. It had to do with the reason Nell and Lance left LA early. Nell's version of the story was that it wasn't because of Lance having a baby. Nell had said that earlier to the girls. But the truth is that Lance did leave early because of the baby. Tisha was sitting right next to her when Nell originally said that, so that meant someone wasn't telling the full truth. When Tisha asked Nell why they really left early, Nell shut it down quickly and firmly. She said it wasn't Tisha's business, and she didn't owe her an explanation. That response exploded things even more. Tisha said Nell was giving her attitude. Nell said she wasn't. But the tone between both women was now sharp, tense, and heated. The flashback confirmed that Nell did mention the baby being involved. But Nell also said her granddaughter was off limits and nobody should even bring that up. That put a clear line in the sand. Even after that boundary, Tisha kept pressing the issue. She would not let it go. And that's where things spiraled. Kimmy stepped in and said the issue now was the fact that Nell told someone to keep her name out of her mouth. She made it seem like Nell made a serious threat. Nell didn't see it that way. She saw it as defending herself. And at that moment, Kimmy's tone shifted. She told Nell she was becoming a problem. And when someone feels alone, cornered, and misunderstood, being told they're a problem adds fuel to the fire. The conversation got loud quickly. There were too many voices speaking at the same time. Nell felt attacked. She felt ganged up on. She felt like she was defending herself against a crowd. Kimmy, instead of calming things down, escalated by saying, "Nell, I will dump you in that pool if you keep yelling at me." The moment she said that, everything changed. That was a threat, even if she tried to play it off later. Nell fired back, "I will dump you in the pool." Now everyone was shouting. The scene had gone completely off the rails. When the group finally tried to pull things back together and go inside, the party was basically over. The energy was gone. The fun was gone. People were exhausted. The night had gone from playful to chaotic to emotionally heavy. Later, Kimmy opened up about why she reacted the way she did. She shared that she grew up with an abusive father, and after her mother and father divorced, she could not deal with yelling or loud arguing anymore. For her, yelling is a trigger. It brings up trauma. It brings up pain. She said she should have told Nell directly about threatening to throw her in the pool because she knew that wasn't the right thing to say. But she also said she could not handle the yelling and the loud back and forth, and she needed Nell to understand that. That moment gave some context, but it didn't erase what happened. By then, it was clear that Kimmy and Nell were going to have a long-term problem this season. Something broken between them wasn't going to heal overnight. But they also hugged it out. Kimmy said she accepted Nell's apology and apologized as well. Nell said she would move on. They tried to end the night on a soft note, even though the conflict was far from resolved. As the episode wrapped up, it became clear that this nail party was never really about nails. It turned into an emotional storm, exposing the cracks between friendships, relationships, and alliances. Nell tried to host something simple, but instead she was placed back into a space where she felt like the outsider, the one being blamed, the one being pushed into a situation she didn't create. And once again, she walked away feeling like the victim of a group dynamic that never seems to give her space to breathe. This episode showed that even small gatherings can explode, especially when old wounds, hidden feelings, and personal triggers get mixed together. It showed that even when a group tries to have fun, the past always creeps back in. And most importantly, it showed that Nell is once again at the center of the drama, not because she wants to be, but because the people around her continue to pull her into it. The season is far from over. And if this night is any sign of what's coming, the tension around Nell, Kimmy, and Tisha will only grow. The cracks are now visible, the hurt is now spoken, and the lines have been drawn. The only question left is how far this conflict will go before someone finally steps back and tries to break the cycle. Because right now, Nell is the one carrying the weight, just trying to find her place, while everyone else seems more interested in pointing fingers than understanding her.